Chicago, in person and at home. I'm Corey Russell, member of the board here at First U. I can't see him too well, but Murphy's dad, for those of you that know Murphy. There he is. And I'm honored to lead you in worship this morning, along with Reverend David Mesner, our Reverend, Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Liz Kreslin, and Director of Music, Adam Odell. First Unitarian Church has been a home for progressive religion in Chicago and beyond since 1836. The church sits on the western shore of Lake Michigan, south of the Chicago River. We honor the indigenous peoples for whom these are unceded ancestral homelands, as well as the diverse and vibrant indigenous American communities who make their home here today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share, and the mission to grow our souls and heal the world. Whether you just stepped into this church for the first time or for the 1000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. No matter your race or who you love or how much money you do or don't have, you are welcome here. In terms of announcements, delegates are needed for the UUA General Assembly. It is June 18th through the 22nd. You can attend either in person in Baltimore or on Zoom. This is your chance to vote for our very own Natasha Walker for UUA moderator. Natasha. All you need to do is be a member and get 15 signatures on a petition. The congregation will vote on delegates later this spring. Contact Evelyn Johnson in the office for a petition, or Cheryl Wegner with any questions, or talk to me as well. Happy to point you in the right direction. This week, happening at the church, we also have the midweek game gathering on Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you have any questions about that or want to suggest games, feel free to talk to Liz. And then Friday, we have one of our concerts in the music series. Music at First U presents Flanow. Per Adam, it's a piano and percussion duo that does classical music and humor. Again, it's at 7 o'clock. Tickets will be available at the door. And then I think our final announcement might be from Dave and Murphy.
My turn?
Yeah.
I'm bringing Murphy because a little charisma doesn't ever hurt, right, Murphy? So the thing I want to talk about, first I want to give a shout out. I really want to thank Corey. Corey does so many things. I say behind the scenes, not totally behind the scenes, because he's one of our young adult group leaders, co-conspirators, along with Samantha, and that's a really cool group if you haven't yet plugged in to them, and they're pretty liberal on what they consider young, and I appreciate that generosity. He's also coaching and coaxing us through a bylaw revision that we're trying to make them 2025, and we're working on that, so I plant that as a seed because you'll see that in your, hopefully in your annual meeting, because that's a congregational decision. So that's the first shout out. Then I want to give a shout out to all the people working on the pledge team. It's the campaign for the church. I won't make it long, but every year we all share a word right now. Right, Murph? Do you want to go to your dad? You can. We share a word right now of what we can contribute in the coming year. That year runs from July 1st to June 30th. So now's the time we're fulfilling our pledges to make sure we can pay the staff and everything this year. But we name what we can give next year because we have to do, for instance, a staffing plan for the coming year, which is really critical. This is important to us, our ministries, and to the people who are ministers in our church and make this place go. So I really ask at this time that everybody, friend, member, visitor, everyone can pledge. It's just a promise of a gift for the coming year. And if you're like, I'm from Cleveland, I just stopped in to use the bathroom, that's okay, you can pledge $50 for next year. If you're a member of the church, please do it today. We have people, Margie, Amos, interestingly enough, they're positioned blocking the doors of the church. I don't want you to feel that that's any sign of, no, they're wonderful. They're a wonderful team, just part of the team. Mark Zafir is their fearless team leader. I think we have Laura Stern in the back. She's on the team. Anyway, if everyone could get a pledge form in, that would be great, because we can't do a budget for the coming year unless we do it. And so everybody, let's fill one out. That's my ask. That's it. They're available. You can put them in the offering plate. You can put them at the table. Debbie Zora is at the back table there. There's a basket near the name tags. You can hand them to Amos if you know who he is. You can hand them to Margie. They're the people with their hands out. I prefer you don't hand them to me, but I'll take them. Let's wrap it up. It's kind of meant to be March Madness, and then we don't talk about it like NPR. Oh my gosh, they're interrupting my worship. How long is he going to talk? So we need to get about 125 pledges in. I think that's about what we want to do. 150. We need 150 pledges in. Okay, let's go for 150 pledge units this year, and that means first-time pledgers are especially precious. You know the biblical story of the widow's mite? Okay, we'll save that for another's time, but the point is, small gifts can matter a lot.
Please join me in reading our covenant as we light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please rise in body or spirit for the singing of our opening song. I will sing it, and then you can sing it back to me. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. Thank you. You may be seated, and our worship will continue.
Underserved, transgender, systemic, socioeconomic, sense of belonging, privilege, pollution, oppression, inclusive. Immigrants, hate speech, climate crisis, cultural differences, disability, black, female. I call us to worship today with this litany. It's an article in the newspaper that caught my eye. This is a partial compendium of the words that the government discourages its agencies and leaders from using. Female, hate speech, equity, disability. These are words that the government says try not and use those in our communications with people. I call us to worship with this litany, not as a political rallying cry, although I'm feeling a little politically worked up this week. I got energy in that direction. Maybe some of you do too. Understatement. I bring this up as a call to worship because when I call us to worship each week, sometimes with a litany of words, sometimes with poetry, sometimes with a story, I mean to suggest something about what is it we are called to worship? What is it that we are called to hold aloft? What's the good of this place? What's the point of coming to church? What's the difference? Why this on Sunday morning? And what does speaking words have to do with it all? In our tradition, it has everything to do with everything. The power of speaking a name brings the world into existence. The power of speaking someone else's name means you see them, means you recognize them, means you honor them, means they are human and you are human and we are in relationship. So does it matter to say, you may use this word and not that word? You may speak the name of this person and not that person? Does it matter whose portrait we hang on the wall, or indeed whose figure we choose not to put in the niche? Yeah, it matters. Does it matter if we can name a thing like inequity? Seems to matter to me. Does it matter if we could even say the word woman here on International Women's Day? Don't even say the word woman. Refer to the man and the other, or just the man. That's 5,000 years of history right there. We know what that was like. And so in this place, let us use our words, because words have the power to bring things into existence, to bring each other into dignified existence, to bring a better world into our reality. So let's use our voices fearlessly with the words we are called to speak, and do not check the rule book, for in this house, those rules do not apply. Be free, be generous of heart, and change the world with what you have to say. Come, let us worship together.
Today's centering hymn is in your gray hymnal. It's number 360, Here We Have Gathered. That's 360, Here We Have Gathered. Please rise and body your spirit for the singing.
Here we have gathered, gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who see
you. So you all can stay where you are for a moment because today's story actually has a moment where I will beckon forward children. And if at that time you are feeling young or young of heart and you feel like you want to come forward when I beckon during the story, then you are welcome to do so and come get a closer look on the story from the carpet for the rest of the story after that point. Okay, so today's story begins in China, where the emperor was getting old and he needed to choose a successor because he didn't have any children of his own. So he invited all the families in China with children of a certain age to the palace, and when they got there, he invited the children forward. He said, "Come forward, I have something to say to you, if you want to." Come on, come on. The emperor has something to say. And what the emperor said to the children was, "I will give each of you one seed. I will give you a seed today, and you take it home. You're to take it home and care for it for 1 year. And 1 year from today, you'll bring it back here, and whoever has grown the best plant from the seed that I give you today will be my successor." Now, in this group, there was a little boy named Chen who was known for his green thumb and his honesty. And Chen was very excited because he had a green thumb. He thought he would grow quite a good plant. So he got right to work. He found his best pot. He put some of his best soil and his best fertilizer into the pot, and he gently planted the seed at just the right depth, which he knew because he had a green thumb, and he put it gently covering the seed with the best dirt and fertilizer that he had. He gently sprinkled some water on it, just the right amount, and he found the perfect spot for it where it would get just the right amount of sun in his windowsill and it would be protected from the elements. And he cared for that seed every day. He watered it when it needed it, he added more fertilizer, but he found that it wasn't growing after a few weeks. He thought it would have already sprouted. So he tried something different. He tried moving it to a bigger pot. Maybe that was the problem. He tried a different type of soil. He kept trying. He cared for it every day, but it just wasn't sprouting. And it wasn't sprouting, and it wasn't sprouting, and the seasons began to change. And he kept trying, and when the seasons changed and the light shifted in his window, he moved the empty pot to a slightly different spot so that it could keep getting the right amount of sunlight for that seed, but it just wasn't coming up. And eventually the day came when it was time to go back to the palace. And Chen was nervous. He didn't have anything to show for all his work that year. And he had a reputation for his green thumb. He didn't want to show an empty pot. But his father encouraged him, and they took the pot, and they went to the palace and brought the pot forward and to where all the children were gathering, and Chen saw that every child in the room had a big flower or some sort of plant, all sorts of different flowers and plants, dahlias and lilies and orchids and all sorts of plants, and they were lining up in rows, and Chen was the only one with an empty pot. He felt embarrassed, and he started to cry. He said to his father, "I'm so ashamed. I'm the only one that doesn't have a plant." His father said, "It's okay, son. You tried your best, and you're still here to show that you tried." The emperor came out, and the emperor was looking along the rows of all of the beautiful plants. He was actually scowling a bit. He went and looked at each plant, at each child with the plants, trying to find who would be his successor. And he came to Chen, and he looked puzzled and serious, and he said to Chen, "Why is your pot empty?" And Chen said, well, he was nervous. He took a deep breath and he swallowed. He'd never spoken to the emperor before. He said, "Well, because I tried really hard and I took care of it every day, but it just didn't grow." And the emperor looked thoughtful, and then he addressed the crowd and he said, "I have found my successor. Chen will be the next emperor." And Chen said, "Me? Why? I have an empty pot." And the emperor said, "1 year ago today, I gave all of you boiled seeds to take home, and I instructed you to plant them, and you've come back here with plants that could not have grown from the seeds that I gave you a year ago. Chen is the only one who was honest and courageous enough to bring me the empty pot with the seed that I gave him and that he took care of all year." And that day, all of the families in China learned the importance of courage and honesty and integrity. And Chen became the emperor, and he always kept that empty pot on his desk to remind himself and all of his advisors of the importance of telling the truth, even when it's not the same as other people's truth, even when it's not the answer you think somebody wants to hear. When do you have an answer that maybe you're worried someone else doesn't want to hear? Are we brave enough to say those truths and to be honest like Chen, even when we're nervous? With that, we'll think about that in our classroom, and we'll send our children to their classes with our love, and I invite you to greet your neighbor.
It's good to have a therapy dog on hand up here, I feel like. Right?
He was, it was the organ you were playing, right, for the break? Yeah. He was just like, what is that? You've never heard that noise before.
Like in frequencies that probably are robust to him. Okay, let's bring him back. Let's bring him back. As we take up this week's offering, I draw to your attention our practice, longstanding practice of sharing our plate each week with a worthy nonprofit working in our community. This month, we're sharing with the Chicago Abortion Fund, and the mission of the fund is to advance reproductive autonomy and justice for everyone by providing financial, logistical, and emotional support for people seeking abortion services, healthcare services. We are a sanctuary city in that regard, and so it's a powerful thing for us to be able to help women. There, I said it. I said the word. Women who are seeking medical care. And I think that's an important thing. I invite you also, when we pass the plate around, if you have a joy and sorrow card, you can drop it in there, and those come up because that's in the next part of our service, and I'll read them. That's our kind of general practice. Today's offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you, Sarah and Amos. Thank you, Adam. That was gorgeous. That brought me a sense of peace, actually. I want to start, as we share our joys and sorrows with each other, to share our collective sorrow at the passing of Lynn O'Rear, a beloved friend and member of this place. I hold my phone here because Riva, who's her wonderful niece, posted a testimonial this morning, or actually yesterday, that I wanted to read because it's beautiful. Our beloved sister and aunt, Lynn O'Rear, departed for the brighter world early on the morning of March 4th, about 2 weeks after her 85th birthday. During her final weeks, she was at home, surrounded by family and friends, snuggled by her sweet yet mischievous cat, Pixel, serenaded by WFMT classical radio just as she had wanted. We already profoundly miss this beautiful soul, sharp mind, kind heart, and wise counsel. Lynn will be remembered for her love of history, family history, labor history, her city of Chicago and its public art and performing arts, the outdoors, and her Unitarian church. The family sends a special thanks to Jenny, who is a true friend and helper, and adopted Pixel, and to Beverly, Lynn's oldest friend. May Lynn's memory be a blessing to everyone who knew her and whose life she touched. In lieu of flowers, Lynn requests donations be made to the ACLU, or the First Unitarian Church of Chicago. We'll hold a celebration of Lynn's life here. We'll let you know the details shortly. May Lynn rest in peace and power, and may her family know comfort in these days. They've been here for weeks in her apartment. Thank you to all who made visits to Lynn just regularly over these past weeks. It was so appreciated, so appreciated. Okay. Other joys or sorrows? Adam, can I call upon you? I'm going to let you hold the microphone because you're a professional.
Yes. And normally I would show good etiquette by introducing myself, saying my name before I say my joy. But today, my joy is my name. So hello, I am Dr. Adam Odell.
And for scheduling appointments, because I've been trying to get in to see somebody good for a while now. We are so proud and so blessed by... That looks like a Let me sing you a song. as you bleed. I have a piece that perfectly accompanies that. We are so blessed by the gifts, and to say that your gifts of performance are lesser gifts sound like an insult until you understand your ministry here. And then I hope you understand what that means. Thank you, my friend. We're going to have a party or something? We're going to have a party for Adam or something? Let's do a thing. We're going to do a thing with you. Okay, put a pin in that. Other voices. Yeah, let's let them finish the last submissions, and then we'll have some fun with it. Anyone else who wants to lift up as we veer from significant sorrow to massive joy, does anyone have a milestone today or someone we should be sending a little of our heart energy to? I'll let you speak into the microphone if you do. Okay. For all of the joys and sorrows we have, and I know of so many, let's keep sharing them with each other a little bit courageously. It takes a little courage to say, hey, I got something going on in my life, just want to let you know. And here's a place that you have permission to speak those words into reality, because when you speak those truths, like you may not know when someone enters hospice in this church, sometimes they tell me and they say, well, don't tell anybody now. And I don't. I keep secrets. But I encourage you to say, hey, there's been a change, and in this time I could use a visit, I could use some help, or I just wanted you to know because I love you. Power of words. Amen. The text I have for us today is called Patient Trust. Our worship theme this month is on trust of all kinds. This is from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Forgive my French. He's a French priest, obviously situated, not obviously, but situated in the Catholic tradition. So take that context. And for some of you, that means kind of translation of language when we share different texts with people with different theologies. I won't belabor that point, but I want to make sure that we bring into this space the words that transcend tradition, you know. Patient trust. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown.
something new. And yet, it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that it may take a very long time. And so, I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on as though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances, acting on your own good will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that this hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. Let us take the luxury of just a minute together to breathe, to feel peace, to feel safe, to feel held. Amen.
Thank you, Doctor. I hope this is okay. Occasionally, and I've said it before, I don't feel like preaching downward. And I don't think of it as often that way, but often if I want to talk and not orate. Cathedrals were made in a certain kind of mode of proclaiming, and I like an oration, and I like proclaiming. I'm grateful Mark is the only one who's chosen, well, Mark and Carrie both have chosen to sit within 25 feet of me. And as I often say, in the Unitarian Church, we're used to more intimate situations. You saw us all climbing over each other here to just figure out. That's more like the Unitarian thing. Usually we're in a little back room somewhere, and we're close to each other. So it's one of the things I love about our church, church large, is a kind of intimacy to be able to have conversations. And I love imagining myself as the prophet Jeremiah, prophet Micah, shouting and proclaiming and prophesying to you. But most of the time I think of you as family, and I want to have a conversation. And as they say, I want to preach to you, but also from you. And I want you to hear me, but I want to hear you. If not in this moment, then in the continuing conversation about our lives. And that's something in my theology, my philosophy of preaching, is that it's dialogical. This is a dialogue. We're in a continuing conversation about how we ought live, and in some cases, how we're going to survive, right? That's what religion, in a way, is about. Was it Forrest Church who said, it's the joint problem of being alive and knowing you have to die. The problem of being alive is not insignificant. Even when everything is good, you have the problem of what shall I do? And it's helpful to have a few people in conversation with you who say, I have an idea, whether that's planting a garden, building a cathedral, or singing a choral piece. I got an idea. I can show you how. That's what we're trying to do. So today, I'm preaching about trust. That's our monthly worship theme. We have a monthly worship theme. I encourage you all, later in the month, we're going to have a circle in which we discuss and reflect and share personal stories and experiences of trust. This is a massive theme to me. I think many of the words we use, including when we were talking about, what kind of church do we want? And people often say safe, right? And it occurred to me that how closely related siblings safety and trust are. What I mean by safe basically means I trust you, that stuff is going to happen, but I trust I got some people around me that we will have some capacity to cope with the things that happen that are out of our control. Or even when harm is done to us by people in our lives, if we trust them, they will work to mend that harm. That's a kind of trust. That's what I would say. So if there were one thing, if I were writing a new introduction to this place, I'd say, let this be a house of trust, which means a lot of things. What does it mean to trust the institution? What does it mean to trust the pastor? What does it mean to trust the people in the pews? Even some of whom who walked in here just, what did Corey say? For the first time or the 1,000th time? What can it mean to trust people when we didn't control who came here? That's a peculiar idea, and yet one can create spaces that are conducive to trust. John Rice, Dr. Rice, holy moly, we got a lot of doctors on staff now. Holy moly. Well, Dr. Rice, he's part of our team, and he's responsible for spaces. And in our retreat at the beginning of the year, it stayed with me. He said a thing. He said, forgive me if I get it wrong, John. He said, I like when no one is here and I create a space that I know is going to change the way people are when they are here. And that that's a kind of magical power, is it not? How does it matter the space you create? I think about that like, Liz goes here and creates a classroom for third, fourth, fifth graders. And you plan, like, how do you plan a space that is conducive to kindness and trust and gentleness? Oh, look, there's a carpet. I mean, this carpet was a symbolic act of a soft space to land when you're little. What does it mean to say, children, come sit on the floor? Pastor, the floor is made of stone. Just sit down. I'm going to talk. We have a soft space to land. What does that mean? What does it mean to have rocking chairs? What does it mean to have enough space for your wheelchair? All these sorts of things are a place that you can trust. A place that you can trust. That's what I have in mind today, which is how do we act in ways that are conducive to the building of trusting relationships? Okay, relationships are what this church is about. We have too often centered on the autonomous self, as if the sovereign self is disconnected, free-floating, atomistic thing. We are so influenced by our relationships, including that relationship to space I was talking about. How strange our relationships to inanimate things can shape us. Having a house to go home and sleep in, strange that shapes our feeling about the world and our trust for the world. A world that gives you no shelter is a difficult world to trust. How powerful it is to have family in your life with whom you have trusting relationships. We were just talking about that, bless her, and I had that very much on my heart visiting Lynn. Cheryl and I went over there together just on last Sunday after church. And to have her niece and her sister by her bedside, at the end of your life, to have people around you who you simply trust are taking care of things for you so you can rest easy. It's an incredibly powerful thing to have a circle around you of people you can trust when you don't have capacity for yourself. And I mean to suggest on this day that we're all persons of limited capacity. We're all persons of limited capacity, and we're all needful persons. And to look around you, whether it's by your bedside, in your pew, at your breakfast table, or I hope at coffee hour here, to go from the incredibly heavy of the bed in which one is dying to the place one's enjoying a donut. I understand I've made that strange shift, but the power when you can look around and see a trusted circle and know that you're held for whatever you're going through. And maybe you're going through no job. I know a few of you who are looking for work to sustain life, in that way. Maybe you're going through an era where the government has put you on the list of thou shalt not speak their name. I don't take that lightly, because if the government isn't speaking your name, they're going to not send a check. I'm telling you that. And if the government will not speak your name, they will not hesitate to bring the ICE bus. The list goes on. Again, getting heavy. But in times of stress, trauma, and external threat, having people close to you who you can look in the eye and feel that resonant sense of trust makes all the difference in the world. Those aren't our only relationships. I just talked about trust in an institution. I talked about trust in the people surrounding you, trust in your family. I read Father Pierre here, and his is patient trust in God. This room, I'm holding, I got my theists in the room, I got my deep spiritualists in the room, I got my Thoreau-based take me out to nature, I trust in the trees in the room, I got my strict humanists in the room. I got that. I got you. Pluralism, bless us. And what I'm saying in this patient trust, maybe I'll take a turn. I'll take from Father Pierre, I'll turn to Albert Einstein, Jewish heritage, but pretty darn humanist in his lifetime. But he said this, he said, there's only one question. Is the universe kind? We can riff on that a little bit. Is there some kindness in the universe? Are there energies in the universe beyond our understanding? Are the energies in the universe so complicated, so myriad, so countervailing that we can't know what's going to happen next? And so are we left with the sense of radical uncertainty, thus that it reduces us to some kind of puddle of fear and trembling on this beautiful carpet? Or do we make a turn? And this is the faith turn. This is what I'm talking about, holding all of those different theologies together. There's a faith turn, which is, I think, what Albert was pointing toward, which is that there are some forces of grace at work, and we can have some trust that what comes tomorrow, though not entirely in our control, though maybe only 5% in our personal control, is the product of many people and many forces leaning into the good, yearning for the beautiful, inclined toward the true and not the false, the virtuous and not the vicious, the humane and not the corrupt, venomous, and hateful. I think the universe leans that way. I think the world is conspiring that way. I am affirmed in that belief because I'm in this community. I get to play this role. And so I know the 50 projects. Well, I'm on camera. So just so you know, there are about 300 people in the room. So there are 300 projects in this room. You tell me what your projects are and what you're energized about. I'm looking out here. I see Barbara Jean. Barbara Jean's energized about doing honor on Memorial Day to those who are fallen. I don't know if you followed that story, but she's put together a public recognition of that. That's a heart project. How many of you have heart projects going on in this room? I look at Ken, and oh my gosh, his heart project is jazz, and he's telling me what's happening this Friday, and there are 7 different shows, and it's creative genius, and it comes together and tells me, okay, do the inventory of the heart projects. So when I say in this place there are forces at work that are inclined toward the good and are staying up late to make the good come into reality, to manifest itself in material ways, not ideals. Bless our ideals. Turning the ideals into the reals. That's what you're all doing. And I am affirmed in that every day, because whenever I say, you know, in my moment of self-grandiosity I have at coffee, it is on me. I shall create a more beautiful world today. And that's a good charge, but the humility is, I'll create maybe 5% of the good I experience. I'm but a drop in this ocean. But I have trust in my heart that there are others working to the good, because in this little church, and now we're sort of getting to be 150 members or so now. First of all, that ain't nothing. That's 50% over where we were. And I know all 150 are working toward the good. And I see the spaces where it's an overlapping good, where we say we can feed some folks, where we say we can welcome a couple of new families. Again, it's a drop in the ocean. What do a few families matter? You know, in the Jewish sort of saying, right? You save one life, you save a world. One life. It's a world. It's a universe unto itself. And so in this place, be affirmed that if you become the trusted partner to one person who's trying to make it forward in their journey, you have created a world, and one of beauty. And then be affirmed as you look around you. Trust that you have companions in this work. And when you grow weary and need to sit down for a minute, trust there are others who will pick up the yoke, take on the yoke of the work. So do not be afraid in this time to be tired. Oh my gosh, this is daylight savings time day. It's a miracle you're in the pews at all. My gosh. And this is a day it's okay to be tired. I am giving you the first charge of the day. Trust that it is okay on this Sunday to take a nap this afternoon. Trust that the world will go on without you, There are people who will continue to pursue the good in your name, on your behalf, and in your interest. And when you wake up, know that you are powerful, and know that we trust. We trust our interests in your hands. It's enormously empowering to know that people trust in you to take care of them. Again, I was thinking about all the time, I think about, and I encourage people to have folks who, if they can't make a decision for some period of time, have someone in your life who could make decisions on your behalf. This is a whole nother pastoral care workshop coming up this year. Make sure you have some people, a medical decision maker, a business decision, so on and so forth. I raise that. That sounds very mechanical and paperworky, but the powerful thing about that is the moment when you sit down with somebody and say, who would those people be in your life? And sometimes people have a snap answer. If I collapse, I mean, I'm not planning to, but if I call my wife, I just tell people, call me. Actually, she's in the fourth row on the right, so she'll come, I think. But when you sit and you say, well, okay, if we can't reach her, who's the next person you call? And if we can't reach them, who's the next person you call? Play that game with yourself. Who's your chain of trusted individuals who you would say, without a doubt, it's okay, they can make the decision? Do that in your personal life. Do that in your work life. I don't know. If I'm not here, ask John. He'll know what to do. If I'm not, Jeffrey can make the decision. Jeffrey can make the decision. Have you spent time with Jeffrey? Come into the office. Talk to Jeffrey. He is a wise one. Adam will tell you what to do. I don't care what it's about. He'll tell you what to do. He'll hate that I said that, because don't come to him with all your questions. Don't do it. I'm in trouble already. But I absolutely trust Adam to make a call on anything in the church. Isn't that a strange thing? And I can say that for every member of our leadership team. That's extraordinary. Have that circle. What, did they tell you the answer? I trust them. That's the answer. Go through the practice. And now is the season not to be afraid. Fear thrives in the absence of trusting relationships. And so every moment, your mind thinks a fearful thought about what's going to happen next. Place that aside and instead fill it with, who's one more person I can add to my circle of trust? That, quite humorously, is both a Parker Palmer, who's a Quaker teacher we use in our small groups, establishing circles of trust, and it's a line from that very funny Robert De Niro movie where he talks about being in the circle or out of the circle. You're in, you're out. Both apply. Keep adding new people to your circle of trust. Small way. I trust you as my neighbor. Would you mind holding on to a key? So if I get locked out or my kids get locked out and come over, we give the neighbor a key. That's an act of trust in your neighbor. Think of that. Little commissionings of trust to the people around you. I was told just recently, I had a wonderful time going back to Montgomery Place. I hope we have a few people online. Usually Joyce is online there. Went and had lunch with Joyce and some of our other folks. Pat Haynes, Alan, Lang. I don't mean to be shouting out. But we have a wonderful group of folks over at Montgomery Place, and we sat there. And in storytellings, someone was telling me at that table about some folks who had buddies there, and they just trusted that they would call and check in every day. Everything good? Everything's good over here today. Does that seem strange to you? All of a sudden, I wanted a buddy. Just once a day, just call in. Everything good over there? You don't even have to call. I don't answer the phone. I don't like that. Text me. Everything okay today? You want me to text you once in a while? Maybe not every day. That's a lot from your minister. Just check in. How you doing? I trust you. Check in on me. I'll check in on you. That's the season we're entering into. And so on this day, my charge to you is, along with Father Pierre, is along with Albert Einstein, be patient. Be gentle with yourself. Have trust in how things will unfold. That there is kindness that we have yet to discover. There is power we have yet to marshal. There are beautiful and true things in our future, and together we will discover them. May it be so, and amen.
Our closing hymn today will be number 1021 in the teal hymnal, Lean on Me. That is number 1021 in the teal hymnal. Please rise and body your spirit for the singing. Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll have you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill all of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
You may take a hand, lean on someone if they look strong enough to support your weight. You go ahead, choose carefully. As you go from this place, may you be blessed with many small problems. May you be blessed with the capacity to understand the problems someone else has. And may you be blessed with the power of a trusting, loving family surrounding you. And when you find that family, may you invite someone else into it, because there is always room in this house. Go in peace. Amen.